Welcome back to Supernatural Saturday. I'm your host, Nikki Luciano, along with my co hosts, Missy, Mason, and Desi. Tonight we're also joined by Marie. And before we get started, let me remind you to hit that like button, the share button, and also subscribe, please. Starting next week, we're going to be moving to Sundays, and that time slot is going to be determined. Only because summer is fast approaching, and my family and I are really big time into family cookouts, and we try to have them every weekend. Plus, I do a lot of car shows, so yeah. I guess we'll be known as Supernatural Sundays starting next week. All right, sleep paralysis. The medical field believes it to be as follows. Now, I did a ton of research on this, and everybody with that science mentality seems to feel the same way. And it says sleep paralysis is a normal part of REM sleep. However, it is considered to be a disorder when it occurs outside of REM sleep. It can occur as well as those presenting symptoms of narcolepsy, cataplexy, and hypno. Oh my God, what the hell word is this? Hypnagogic. Sorry about that. Hallucinations. When it occurs without narcolepsy, it is classified as isolated sleep paralysis, or ISP. Sleep paralysis can occur in otherwise normal sleepers and is surprisingly common in its occurrence and universality. Oh my God in heaven, what am I doing tonight? University. Okay, say this word, Mason. I can't even talk tonight. Second paragraph down. Universality.
Universality.
Anyway,
Universality.
we're having a good night here.
Universal.
Okay.
Universal.
I think it's a typo, to be honest.
Yeah, so do I.
Versatility.
It has also been linked to certain conditions such as increased stress, excessive alcohol consumption, sleep deprivation, and narcolepsy. Those of us that research the paranormal world tend to believe otherwise. One example of my own personal experience with sleep paralysis. My kids were at school, hubby was at work, and I was all alone in my house. It was about 2 p.m. I decided to catch a nap since it was so quiet. I just kind of laid there on my bed, and I just laid my head down on the pillow, and I was laying on my left side facing the closet door. I closed my eyes for maybe a second when I heard the closet doors open. Now, they were the wooden closet doors where, they're bifolds. And you have to pull the doorknob open to open it, and they slide open. So I heard the closet doors open, and when I opened my eyes, I saw two men that looked like priests. One was in a red robe, and one was in a white robe with the headdresses. Um, the one priest that was wearing red, he was swinging one of those incense decanters on a chain. I stayed calm for a moment, but then I saw him walking towards me while I was laying on my bed. I tried to scream, but nothing would come out. The priest in red reached out his hand to touch my hand. I managed to get out the words, "What are you doing?" And he replied, "Giving you your final sacraments." That's when I discovered I could move. I couldn't move, sorry. I tried to move away, but I was frozen. I tried to scream, but only sounds like a dog whimpering came out. The room was glowing red, and I saw dozens of ominous shadow people lurking around my bed. I had no idea how, but I gathered the strength to throw my body to the right, away from the priests. And when I mustered up the courage, I looked toward the closet and saw they were all gone. But both closet doors were still open. I actually ran out of the room and went outside and sat at the patio table until my husband came home from work. Anybody else have any stories of sleep paralysis? Marie? Well, you can tell us about it. We've got plenty of time here.
Let me think of a shorter but decent one.
Well, I remember you told me one.
Well, there's the one where the kids were at school. I didn't have work that day, so I decided to take a nap. And I was laying in bed looking at my phone. You know how everybody stares at their phone to fall asleep. And I still had the light on in the bedroom for some reason. And I thought I dozed off. And all of a sudden I opened my eyes and I heard the kids talking. And I was like, but they were like in their rooms or like the living room area.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, did I sleep that long? And I couldn't move my body.
Yeah.
I was like stuck in like under the blanket, which I wasn't when I lay down. Under the blanket, arms to my sides, could not move. And all of a sudden Steve appeared in the doorway. But it wasn't Steve. Like the face was different. And he said, "What are you doing?" In a real creepy voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I closed my eyes real tight. You know how you scared me? Close your eyes real tight. Closed my eyes real tight, opened them. And when I opened them, he was right next to my face.
Oh, Jesus.
So I closed my eyes again. And I'm like, this isn't real. This isn't real. And when I opened them, for me, my sleep paralysis turns into another, like, I don't know if it's another dream or another vision or something.
Yeah.
Because then I was in a blackened out room. And you know how you get that? When I have my sleep paralysis, I have like an evil feeling.
Yeah.
Along with it.
It's a real dark, ominous feeling. And you know that.
You can't breathe.
Yeah.
And
you can hear your heart beating in your ears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then eventually I couldn't take it. I closed my eyes again, and when I finally awoke, I was back to the same day.
I had to actually throw myself out of it because, and I know I wasn't sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I just laid down. I closed my eyes for maybe a split second, and I heard them in the closet, and I heard my eyes shot open, and I saw them like I see you right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't like a shadow person. It wasn't anything like that, or, a faint image. Like when I have dreams, I can't see the people's faces. No. But I saw every facial feature, and it was horrifying. I was afraid to come back downstairs and go to bed that night, Anybody else?
I've never experienced it.
You've never experienced it? No. You are so lucky.
No. Mm-hmm. I think I tried sleep paralysis for the things I do get. But no,
Mason? No.
Not really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be a short night.
I actually put myself into a sleep paralysis.
Really?
Like the medical version of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, me too. You know.
All right. Well, let's get to the questions then. Do you believe sleep paralysis is better defined by science or by the paranormal explanation?
I mean, it depends on what you believe.
Both sides think they're right.
Science believes that it's sleep deprivation, it's, stress, things like that.
I mean, I think that those things could help trigger making you an easier target.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that like sleep deprivation it explains what happens. I think being like, sleep deprived.
Yes. And you didn't even have any alcohol tonight.
Nope. medication, alcohol, it all opens you up to other things that can happen. And I mean, either way you look at it, we could sit here and argue it until our face turns blue. Everybody's going to think they're right. Everybody's going to be able to explain this away and explain that away and whatever. Especially the non-believers, they're going to be like, oh no, it was because of this. Oh no, it was because of that. The believers are going to say, oh no, it's not because of this, it's because of this. So, I mean, no matter what, I mean, everybody's going to think they're right in this situation.
And it can go both ways.
Mhm.
It can
Yeah.
be either.
There could be some times where it is because
Medical
of
thing.
a medical thing,
Mhm.
but then there's other times where it definitely is a paranormal thing.
Yes.
Okay, then explain to me, in your opinion, what do you think is actually happening during sleep paralysis?
I mean, exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think there's demonic entities that are involved in it?
I mean, there could be demonic. There could be. I mean, who's to say every experience is an evil experience?
Yeah. Like, because mine are, I always have the evil presence, the
Yeah.
feeling of something evil.
Yeah.
But then
But
there's
not
other
every-
ones that they're like, oh, I had sleep paralysis and my grandma was there.
Yes.
You know, they don't feel like that's an evil
Mhm.
presence.
Well, I know with one of my older sons, he has them quite frequently, and his fiance said that she has to wake him up because he's screaming, "Get me out of here! Get me out of here! Get me out of here!" and over again, you know. And when you ask him about it, he said he wasn't asleep yet, but it's like somebody turned on the light switch and the lights were all red and the whole room was glowing red and he saw shadow people coming at him. And there's times that they're sitting on his chest and they're actually strangling him.
I mean, the only instance I had that was kind of similar, but I mean, not really, I guess, was that when I was in the hospital having Mia.
Yeah,
And I was laying there, and this is after they gave me my last rites.
yeah.
All that stuff was going on. And I said, get those effing people out of my room. And everybody's looking around like, what is going on? I literally looked around. The whole room was packed full of people. There was people, and then, because the nurses were like kicking everybody out, because they're like, okay, it's, you know, you all got to leave, whatever. There was literally like shadow people hiding behind like the curtains, like literally grabbing the curtains and hiding behind the curtains. And I was like, get them out of the room. I don't want them in the room. And they're just sitting there going, get the baby, get the baby, get the baby. And like still to this day, I get goosebumps thinking about it. But like I was screaming at you guys, and this is after I got transported from the one hospital to the other. And it felt like that room was just humongous, like the biggest room I've ever been in my life. But then everybody else that was there was like, no, it was like a closet. We were in like this little closet area. But and then the room was just packed full of people, and that's why I kept asking Mom, like, who all came up there? Like, who did they all call?
Now that probably people would say was that hallucinations.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
then
like, was it because of the medications you were on? Was it
Yeah.
hallucinations because your brain wasn't all there? Or, you know, they do say that sometimes, like most of the time when people, because you were near death with that, they say they see spirits and,
Yeah.
or even just loved ones.
Yeah,
Could have been that.
because there were some that were, you know, very, very like warm, welcoming feeling, and then there was other ones where you looked at them and you were like, oh no, like
Yeah.
go, and you like
Mhm.
you wanted to run, but you couldn't run,
Mhm.
like you couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, see, normally I'm not afraid of the spirit stuff that, you know, the activity in my life that I've had since I was 2 years old. I'm not afraid with it. I've come to terms with it and I actually embrace it. But when I saw the priests and they were coming at me and telling me that they were going to read me my final rites, you know, my last sacraments, that's the only time I think I've actually ever been really afraid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next question. Do you believe that sleep deprivation or mental health play a part in sleep paralysis?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're going to look at it logically, to look at something logically, you have to look at both sides of it and take in consideration everything. And like I said before, getting completely wasted, that opens you up to good and evil spirits.
I've always told my sons that too, when they
Drugs.
drink or they do drugs back in the day.
You know,
They were different people. I could see the devil in them, you
Mhm.
know? They
and
were
of course
not,
you're going to see and interpret things differently being under the influence. But you don't have the mental capacity. The way I look at it, you don't have the mental capacity to block your soul from the evil invading you. So, I mean, yeah, you're an open vessel once you are drunk.
I've had so
and
many
just
people
being-
tell me that when they were under the influence that they couldn't control themselves and that they would do horrific things because they were under the influence. And I do believe that Satan plays a really big role in that. Your defenses are down, everything is down. You're not yourself, you know, your brain is altered by a chemical substance.
And like Jessie said, she said, I believe so. No sleep can mess with your mind along with mental health. I also think spirits can be a part of it. Doctors and like the medical profession will tell you straight out that like driving and whatever is sleep deprived is almost as bad as driving drunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your
Well,
reflexes
that's
are
why
slower.
truck drivers have to, every few hours, it's a set amount of hours that truck drivers have to pull over for X amount of hours because it's the law, because they know how dangerous it is. Sleep deprivation can really F you up. But, all right. What about faith? Do you think that the amount of faith or lack thereof play a part in sleep paralysis?
No,
Mhm.
I don't.
Again, yes and no. A person with little to no faith and not believing in any of this, not believing in God, not believing in a higher power, they're going to easily say, oh, it was because of this, it was because of that, medications, no sleep. They're easily come up with excuses on why.
Because
Things
their
are happening.
scientific mind has to justify it, because if they admit that supernatural powers could play into it, then it just falsifies everything that they were ever
Well,
taught.
they would never admit that there was anything, a higher power of any kind, good or bad.
I know from personal experience that when we first moved here 16 years ago, and we would go to prayer group, this family has never been under so much attack in my entire life. We had unexplainable things happening that it seems like the stronger my faith is and the more I believe and the more I pray, the more attacks happen on my family. So I tend to believe the reverse of what you believe. I believe the stronger your faith, the more like sleep paralysis is going to happen, and the other things that we've experienced.
Well, what I'm just saying, and I wasn't saying like that was wrong. I'm just saying that the people that don't believe,
Yeah.
there's no way of explaining our side to
Okay.
them because they have that wall up. No, you're wrong. Like a certain sibling I have.
Yeah.
You're wrong. Nope, this is what I believe. This is what's happening. I don't care what anybody has to say. When in reality, us with our faith, we know that the more we went to prayer group, the more we prayed, the more we came together and prayed in numbers, the more drastic things were getting.
Yeah. Now, see, I tend to tell people, I'm always talking about supernatural things, and I guess I don't talk as much about religion because there's so many people, like I said, there's only like 65% of the population that believes in God, or no, it's the other way around. 65% of the world no longer believe in God or a higher power. And I don't like people forcing their beliefs on me, so therefore I don't force my beliefs on them. In fact, one time some guy told me, I don't believe in God. And I was in a bad mood that day. And I looked at him and I said, don't worry, baby, he don't believe in you either, you know? And so when I was raising my kids, I tried to have them look at things on both sides of the spectrum, the scientific side and the religious side. And I let them come up with their own conclusions from there.
But I also think you can't really talk about paranormal things without religion being brought up. It's
Yeah.
all tied together because you talk about paranormal things like sleep paralysis. You're going to have the non-religious people coming on there saying, oh, it's the scientific things, it's this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to have the believers saying, yep, it's the spirits. But then you're going to have, you know, these people saying, well, if you're religious, you don't believe in demons, you don't talk to them, you don't interact with them. You know, like there's always going to be that back and forth.
I get
but
that
religion
so
is
much.
always going to be a part of it.
I get that so much. Oh, you claim to be a Christian, yet you do ghost hunting. I don't believe that you're talking to your dead loved ones. I believe that it's demons acting out, making you believe that they are your dead loved ones. And they're like, oh, when they're dead, they're dead. Don't go visiting their graves. Don't try to talk to them or pray to them or anything like that. But I've always been curious, and
That's where I come in the middle.
yeah,
I'm not religious, but I believe in both sides. So I can go, I'm directly a mutual.
You're Switzerland.
Yeah, I'm Switzerland.
yeah, I'm kind of that way.
I have zero religion to me. I mean,
Only-
there's some, but
You weren't brought up religious,
Yes.
but you have your own beliefs.
Yes, and the supernatural side's always been stronger for me. But
I was
can
forced
see
to go
the
to
view
church.
of everyone
Yeah.
on each side.
Yeah.
I was forced to go to church. I was forced to be raised in the Catholic religion by people that didn't even have a cross in the house. So it was like, where do you go with that?
I mean, I've gone to church. And
Yeah, I've gone to
things like
church
that,
too,
but
and
growing up, but it never stuck because it was never an everyday or an every weekly thing. Families go every Sunday to church. We can't
Yeah.
do that.
And I don't believe, my own personal opinion is, I don't think God wants to hear me with the whole yes, amen, and this chanting and repetitive prayers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will say my rosary, even though that's repetitive prayer, but I don't know. I don't think God grooves on, people walking around in robes that cost more than my house, But
Leah said or asked, would sleep paralysis be something kind of like when you fall asleep, you have like a quote unquote dream type thing that you wake up and there's 2 or 3 shadow people standing at the side of your bed over you, just staring, and you can't move or talk or anything, but then you actually wake up and no one is there.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. That is a form of it, definitely.
Yeah, there's many forms of sleep paralysis. Like when I have it, I swear I'm wide awake, and I know for a fact I did not fall asleep,
Yep.
But there
That's
are
the scary
some
part.
that wake up to it.
And you feel so like vulnerable.
Yes, you do.
When I had it, it was only like for a second when I woke up and I saw what I thought was like a man standing behind my curtains of my
Yeah.
room.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all I remember. And that was it.
Just to touch base, last week you guys, or you had talked about on your other Let's Chat about shadow people.
Yeah.
That's when I see the most is during sleep paralysis.
Okay. Yeah, shadow people. A lot of people only see him at night. I've seen him in broad daylight. I've seen him at night. My children have seen him in broad daylight and at night.
I see shadow people all the time.
Yeah.
Driving down the road. What was it the other day? Like, oh, a person just crossed the road.
Yep.
Hopefully it wasn't a real one. 'Cause, I mean, that's going to be dangerous.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts of it? You know, what do you do when you have sleep paralysis? How do you deal with it? How do you get your mind back to the point where, yeah, I can go back in my room because it's not there anymore?
Yeah, Mia wants to know if there's a way to prevent sleep paralysis.
There is, and
I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
well, it's the scientific people say there is, and that's not to, look at your phone too long before bed or watch TV before bed. Take a warm bath or shower before you go to bed.
This is the
Things like
same
that.
type of people who think eating cold pizza before bed will give you a nightmare.
Yeah, I think those ways are
I
just a
thought
way
that
to
was
have a
milk.
better sleep.
I thought it was don't drink milk.
I don't know. I always eat cold pizza
Ice
before
cream
bed.
was a
Well,
bad
it's
thing.
ice
I
cream.
remember
Well,
being
and then
raised
it's
with
even
that.
to the point where they're like, oh, don't eat an hour before you go to bed because you will have migraines.
Every time I eat,
Or
well, I'm falling
nightmares
asleep.
and, like, try being a mom. You fall asleep eating because that's the last time you get to, after you sit down and eat your own food at 2:00 in the morning and you got the shadow people behind you now.
What
Never get my
about
food.
dream visitation? Have you guys ever had dream visitation where, and let me explain that to the people that might be listening in tonight. When my grandma passed, it was, God, how many years ago? That was back in 1981. It was 1 week after Mother's Day. And I was napping on the couch. Probably, you can count on your left hand how many times I've napped during the day. And, there's my kitty coming. So I was napping on the couch and I had dreamed that my grandma came to my door. I had just gotten married and I dreamed she came to my door and came in and wanted to talk. So she sat down on the couch and she told me that she was going to be going away for a while, but that she'd see me again. And I remember being woke up by the phone ringing, and my husband answered the phone, and it was my stepdad who told him that my grandma had passed, and that my cousin had found her downstairs on the floor. She was cleaning her wood floor. And I remember wondering if I had made it happen by dreaming it, And ever since then, everybody in my life that has passed away has come multiple times to me in my dreams and had conversations, have talked to me and talked me through problems, So I don't know if you believe in dream visitation.
I mean, yeah, I get visitations all the time.
All the time.
How do you think I can cope with some of the stuff I've been through? Like,
That's
sometimes you get your closure by them coming to you in your sleep and talking, and
that's how I met Grandma Rose.
Yeah.
She comes in, but with her, it's always a specific dream. But I've met her multiple times in dreams. Grandpa Wilson comes in all the time.
Yeah, he comes and yells at me a lot and tells me that I tolerate way too much shit from my children. Same with Grandma Rose.
Grandma Rose, the dreams with her, like I said, usually the same, which we've discussed already. We have the same dream with the house.
Yeah.
That's where Grandma Rose is.
Yeah. I know I've often wanted to go back to that house, but I guess the neighborhood isn't very good anymore. And I'd be afraid to kind of approach that house, a stranger, and say, hey, my grandma died in here. Can I just stand in here for a minute?
I'll knock on the door.
I think that's the one we have with the same dream is with the Victorian.
Okay.
It's been a while since I
Yeah,
had
it's
it.
been a while. But
Oh,
well,
yeah.
same with when Grandma Wilson died. Um, I went to bed that night and I dreamed that she came and she was at the door just like Grandma Rose. And she came in and she sat down and she's like, "Girl, we need to talk." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's talk." She's like, "Not here." She said, "Drive me to Northridge Mall." Now, Northridge Mall has been gone for a long time. And she's like, "Nope, just take me there." We got in the car and I was like, "Grandma, I'm just going to do it because you're my elder, you know." Took her there to show her that the place was abandoned. And we pulled into the parking lot. All the lights were off. The doors were boarded off. And I said, "Grandma, see, it's gone." She said, "Get your butt up to the door right now. Open the door." So I opened the door and I walked in, and it was like we stepped back into the 1940s or 50s, and it was Christmas time, and everybody was dressed in old-fashioned clothing, the long dresses. Uh, they had the fur hand muffs, the women did, and the fur hats, and everybody was smiling and talking and looking at us like we belonged there, you know. And there was elaborate decorations throughout the mall, and we shopped and we ate lunch there. And then we came all the way home. She helped me carry in all the stuff I bought, set it down right by my bed, and sat down. And she's like, "Just let me lay down for a minute. I'm just really tired." And I remember touching her cheek, and she fell asleep. And then I woke up. And the first thing I did, I was looking for these bags
I
of
know,
shit
right?
I
I'd
bought,
be
you know?
like, what did I get?
But it was very vivid, you know?
I always have a dream that we're all and it's like we're all together and we're in this house that I've never stepped foot in before. Never stepped foot in. And there's a lot of like older people that are there that I do not recognize because I mean, I could not pick out Grandma Wilson out of a lineup. I could not pick out Grandma
Well, that's because
Wilson.
they,
I was alive when they were.
well, not Grandma Rose.
I said Wilson.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and Grandma Rose, she passed away. So I have no idea, you know, and it's just a house full of these people. And we're all sitting there and there's 5 million conversations going on and we're all just wandering around, like jumping into this conversation, going to this conversation.
Kind of
just
like
eating.
gatherings at my house every weekend.
Just crazy
What type
nonsense.
of house?
It's definitely an older house, but it's a bigger house.
Does it have a staircase?
I mean, a lot of houses have staircases.
No, I'm saying like the older houses, like the Victorians.
Yeah.
How would
like
you
a-
describe the house? What?
We're mostly in, they called it the sitting room.
Oh,
So we're in like, I would describe it as like maybe a den, but it's more of like a dining room.
Do you ever try to leave the room?
I do, but that's when I wake up.
that's Grandma Rose's house.
That's when I wake up is when I walk out of
Because
that
when you first
area.
walk into the front door, you walk down a hallway and you walk right into her dining room, and it had wood flooring, real wood flooring, and she took such pride in that floor. That's how she passed. She was cleaning that floor.
Mhm. And there was just like this big table
Yes,
in the middle.
I had that table
Yeah.
after she passed. And then you walk through another doorway and you're in the kitchen.
Like a part of
You
me
both
like
did the same thing at the
yeah,
same
I think we both did the same hand
Yeah.
motion. Because I remember some females were in the room off to the side, and you get the feeling that they were cooking because you can smell.
Yeah, because all the women were in the kitchen and the
well,
men
not all
were
the
in the
women
living
were.
room.
No, there was just a couple women in the kitchen. Everybody there.
Well, that
There was
would have
just-
been my mom. That would have
I've
been
never been in
Grandma
the room.
Rose.
Every time I
And that
walk
would have
out of
been
the-
Auntie Mona and my Aunt Eva.
every time I walk out of if I try to explore more, that's when I wake up. Like it's like awake.
See,
And it's like, and when I wake up, it's because in my ear I hear somebody scream, "Missy!" And then you're like startled up, and you don't know if it's like, okay, did somebody yell at me in my dream, like to get back in the room? Because even though I'm older, in the dream I was like a child. Like I wasn't my age I am now. I was a child. So like I would try to wander off. So I don't know if in the dream somebody was screaming my name and it startled me awake, or if like something really scream a name.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where you're like, it feels real. Like you can feel like the hairs on your neck stand up because that voice was in the room, but you try to like dismiss it.
that is exactly how all of mine go.
Mhm.
I leave the dining area or sitting room, whatever,
Yeah.
but Grandma Rose follows me everywhere.
Yeah.
And I try to go up the staircase
Mhm.
to go upstairs, and she goes, no, let's go somewhere else. Let's go back to the sitting area. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I want to go up there. Something's like pulling me to go up there.
And see, in one of the dreams, we were in a different house. You and I went up the stairs, and at the top of the stairs, I have goosebumps on my goosebumps right now. But at the top of the stairs, there was the bathroom.
Mhm.
And in the bathroom was the clawfoot tub.
Oh, that's Grandma Wilson's house.
That bathtub scares the ever living F out of me. And ever
That's
since
Grandma
those
Wilson's
dreams,
house.
I hate clawfoot tubs because underneath the clawfoot tubs, I would bring Marie upstairs in my dream. I would bring Marie upstairs. Like we would have to like, you would stand by the door while I was going to the bathroom, and I'd have to stand by the door when you were going to the bathroom. When I was in the bathroom, I'd close the door, and hands would like climb out from underneath the clawfoot tub.
Yep.
And the toilet was like right there. So I'm like spinning in circles on the toilet so they wouldn't grab my ankles.
See, I had a very different experience in
Well,
Grandma
then,
Wilson's bathroom
To the right was their bedrooms.
Yes.
When you walked up the stairs,
Yes.
there was the bathroom, and then there was
well,
the
there
bedrooms.
was 2 bedrooms on the right when you're walking out, one on the left.
Mhm.
See, the one on the left,
Creepy.
bad vibes. Yeah,
That was Uncle Ronnie's
do
room.
not.
That was
You
Uncle
ran
Ronnie's room.
past that room.
That explains a
Swear
lot.
to God. Goosebumps.
Yes.
But anyways, when I was little at Grandma Wilson's house, because Mom married your dad
Mhm.
when I was about 12 or 13.
Mhm.
13. So I remember the first time going there. I walked up the stairs, and I just had this real weird feeling about that clawfoot tub. And I'm one that always picks up on things like your house. I can come to your house, I can tell you where that man committed suicide.
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Bathroom.
But we've always been sensitive to these things. So when I left that night, I went to bed and I had a dream that when I went into the bathroom, it was like I was replaying it over. I walked up the stairs, walked into the bathroom. Off to the right is the clawfoot tub, and I was directing my attention to the toilet because I had to pee. So I go walking in there, and I turn and I look, and I see a woman with long, like gold ringlets in her hair, and she was laid back in the bathtub, and her left arm was draped out of the tub, and there was blood dripping from her wrist onto the floor.
Was she
but
wearing like a white nightgown? Like a white, you remember like the old.
it was like a soft pink.
Okay.
And there was candles all around her, and she looked over at me and she said, "Help me."
See, when I have the dreams about, I guess it's Grandma Wilson's house, when we'd go upstairs, there was a girl in like a lightish, pale colored nightgown that would come walking out of the bathroom, and I'd just look at you like, who was that?
Yeah,
Like, I've
who
never
was that?
seen her before. Like, why is she up here?
Well,
Why
we
is she
come
still
from a
in her
large
pajamas?
family, you never know if
There's
it's a
always
cousin.
someone.
But she was
somewhere.
in her pajamas. Like, when we got together, like,
Yeah.
with Grandma Wilson and stuff, it was like Easter best. Like,
Yes.
we were dressed up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Who's
Mia said, wait, I've had a dream in a house like that. Someone was making chicken, and I was with my mom and granny in a different part, and I was like screaming and crying saying, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Don't want to go to the house or don't want to go home. I don't. I don't know.
But I discussed my dream with Grandma Wilson, and she said, you know what? She said, I have a very similar dream when, on occasion, she has the same dream that there's a woman with golden ringlets in her hair, and she's laying in the bathtub, and her wrist is cut.
See, like, I know there's more to the dream for me, but I'm a good blocker. Like, I can block spiritual, paranormal things. If I
Well,
don't
you
want
get
to
that
deal
from
with
your
it,
father, my doubting Thomas, my
well, if
husband.
I don't want to deal with it, it's like a switch I can shut off. Like, no,
We're
I can
done
still,
today.
yeah, I can still feel it, but they can't bother me. It's kind of like blinders.
Yes. Yes.
And in the dream, it'll get to like a certain part every single time, and I will wake myself up.
Yes.
As soon as we get upstairs, we're in the bathroom, the hands start grabbing for me. I'm screaming for you, Marie, outside the door. You're screaming at the door, pounding on it, and then I wake up.
What about you? You've had Destiny Grace come to you in your dream.
Well, I'm gonna get back to hers for a second. I always so I had a dream that's kind of similar, but like not at all. The house is the same,
Yeah.
and for some reason I always thought it was Yaya and Grandpa's house. But when you said that there was 2 bedrooms on the right, that's when it all made sense.
Yeah.
So I remember I'd walk up the stairs and it was dark, and the bathroom was like lightly lit, and I could tell that there was a girl in the bathroom crying.
Yes.
And then I'd get to the top of the stairs, and through the side, like peripheral vision, I could see not the first bedroom, but the second bedroom was lit. And that's it. I hear a
when
woman
you walk
crying.
When you walk up the stairs, so like not this bedroom,
Not
that you first walk past, but that one.
Yep.
And it's like a candle light, like there's
Yeah,
like a candle lit in the room.
Everything's very like low lit.
Yeah, like there's candles.
Like she's the only one in the house.
Yeah. And when you said the crying, like I literally almost peed my pants because I can hear the crying.
Mm-hmm.
And she came out of the bathroom sobbing, and that's why I looked at Marie like, we're not going to do anything.
And
The
whenever-
crying reminds me of one of those old movies, like with Clark Gable, where the female is just sobbing. You know.
No, this was a
Well, for me, the crying is like she's had enough.
yeah.
She's reached her lowest.
Yeah. And it makes sense because I usually have this dream when it's like super stressful in my life.
Last time I had this dream was probably 17 years ago when we were at the old house.
Yeah. And then when she's crying and she comes out of the bathroom, she goes in a lit up bedroom, doesn't she? In my dream.
I've never seen her.
She
I just
goes-
see her crying and I skedaddle.
Oh. My good self, I have to pee.
It's not my situation. I'll let you do you.
And it's just weird because we haven't talked about this dream or like
No, we've
thought
never
about it
discussed-
in.
See, that's a different dream than the one that we discussed with
Yeah.
the Victorian house.
But it's with my dreams,
But
I
that
have
one I
like
get,
two
too.
different houses, but I
Mhm.
feel like
they're similar. There's something about them that are the same, almost.
there's just a familiar feeling.
Yes.
Like I belong there. Like I'm
Mhm.
not. We're not in some stranger's
Yes,
house.
like
We're
not
in
guests.
family's house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I always
And like I've
associated
been
it
there.
with Yaya's house because like I haven't been in any other like family member's house.
Yeah.
And there was like somewhat of like a homey feeling to it.
Yeah,
Like
like a very welcoming.
from there.
Yeah.
And I remember that the bedroom on the left was like a don't even look in that direction type of thing.
Yeah.
It was always gave like
And you always
super
like,
evil.
even going past the room, you feel like you're gonna like puke.
Mhm.
Yes. Like go
Like,
faster.
you have to
and
run
can't
past it.
Run fast enough.
But see, that's how it is with the Victorian house dream when I have it.
Mhm.
I will eventually make my way up the huge staircase,
Yeah.
even though I have Grandma behind me, like Grandma Rose behind me, like, don't go up there. You do not go up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get up there and there's sconces all on the walls. And it's got like the old fashioned wallpaper
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
But it's just that when I get up there, something tells me, get the F out
And
now.
Yeah. And that's
You're probably describing Aunt Stell's house.
I've never seen her house.
Yeah, I did when I was little.
Really?
but
yeah.
in like the grandma, we'll call it the Grandma Wilson dream. we say like, oh, we have to go upstairs, we have to go to the bathroom. They say, don't look at anything, don't touch anything, go right up there, go to the bathroom, come right back down.
Yes.
That's
Like you
how it
get like a
was.
real ugly feel, just like in walking up the stairs, you just get this
like a heaviness.
sickening
A
feeling.
heaviness.
Yeah.
Let me explain something before I allow Mason to tell his story. Between my sons Dante and my son Mason, I had a miscarriage. I carried her to 20 weeks. I know it was a girl, and I named her Destiny Grace. Now, you may be wondering, because I said we have Destiny with us, that's Destiny Faith. She's my 8th child. But it was very hard for me to deal with the loss of Destiny Grace. And that's when I started really getting heavy into my writing poetry and stuff to deal with it. So, okay, go ahead, Mason. Tell them your dream.
So the first one I had was at the old house, and you had your black pickup truck,
Yeah.
and in the dream, like, so we're at the house, and we're sitting on the tailgate of the pickup truck, and it was me and her, and I remember Radar was underneath the tailgate,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just talking, like, we've known each other forever, but like I knew that like she wasn't around, because whenever she comes to me in a dream, she always says like, oh, how's mom doing? Make sure you take care of mom. And like lately, because last time I had the dream was probably 2 years ago. And it was right when I was applying to colleges.
Yeah.
And because she always comes to me in my dream when I'm going through like a really hard time in my life.
Yeah.
And in the dreams, she gives the big sister pep talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when I was applying to colleges, and again, we were sitting on the bed of the pickup truck, even though I'm obviously a lot older. In the dream, we're super young.
Yeah.
And Radar's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, like, you just gotta calm down, take a step back, and just breathe.
Yeah.
Like, she always just gives big sister pep talks.
Yeah.
But that's how our family is. I think even though she never made it to this earth, she's always watching out for you.
Mm-hmm. This was a couple months ago. I was sleeping in my room on my bed, and I usually don't have my back facing, like, I don't have my back to the open.
Yeah, you never have your back exposed to the door.
To the monsters, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get it right. It's monsters.
Just tiptoeing around it.
Yeah. We're not children. Let's state the obvious. But then it was like early morning because like the sun was just coming out, and I remember like I went to like roll over or something, and I heard a girl talking, and my bed is up in the air. It's like 5 feet in the air.
Yeah, you've got a loft
bed. And I heard a girl talking, and I just rolled over. I was like, oh, that's just Destiny Grace talking. Yeah. Then I rolled over and went back to bed. Then like 1 minute later, I was like, wait a dang minute. Something's not right.
Yeah, I get a lot of advice from people that have passed by them coming to my dreams and telling me how I should handle it. Grandma Rose thinks I should, on my older kids, just crack the whip and tell them enough of this shit and we're not having it anymore, Either toe the line or kick rocks. But my boys, it's not you. Grandma Rose would have loved
the
you.
viewers don't.
Why?
You said my older kids. I'm one of your older kids.
Okay.
You don't have
Gotcha.
to.
I know.
But what about you, Destiny? Have you had any visitations in your dreams?
No.
No.
That's because you're like your dad and you block. My husband.
No, she doesn't block anything. She dies for a couple hours.
I die
to the point where her cat.
Resurrect.
Yeah. Resurrect. She dies to the point where her cat sits on her chest and bites her in the forehead.
Yeah.
Because the cat thinks she's dead.
She probably visits us in her dreams.
No, she's a lot like her father. When I told my husband Wayne that I was pregnant with my second Destiny, Faith, um, he called her the last of the Mohicans before he went in and got neutered with my dog. But yeah, they're a lot alike. If you could see my daughter, Destiny Faith, she looks identical to her dad.
I'll
But
post a picture later
yeah, you should. But
of you and Dad.
he's a doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
She's a doubting Thomas for the most part. And they try to block it. Like I said once before, my husband has seen things. Right away, his brain has to try to justify it and debunk it. I debunk things a lot of times too, but I mean, facts is facts. You know, when you've got spirits actually talking to you, you have to take it in stride and work with it. And I've had it since I was 2, so
See,
I just deal with it.
I don't care if I'm alone. You best believe I'm blocking it because it's either I'm blocking it or I'm running to my mom's house, and I don't care if I live 20 minutes away, driving, speeding.
But
I'm going to run because yes, you scared the F out of me.
Depending on
sometimes.
the thing.
what
because,
about
like,
when you guys were at school and you'd come home after school and you'd come downstairs and I had all my ghost hunting equipment on and I had the house intercom on and it was playing Ave Maria by Celine Dion and I'm talking to spirits and they're talking back and machines are lighting up
I mean,
and
that's just because you're a sociopath.
We should have left.
yeah. They're like, what in the hell are you doing? I'm not afraid.
They didn't teach us that in Catholic school.
I'm not afraid of it. I embrace it.
I'm not afraid of it either, but I still block it.
Depending on
It depends on the situation.
the spirit.
Yeah.
The
Because,
one in
like-
my house, you best believe.
I would
I
like
have
to
to-
meet that spirit.
Not the one in
It
Mrs.
can go
house.
home with you.
No,
too.
no.
But it's to the point where I have to go through my kids' toy boxes every night. And mind you, the youngest ones are 6, 3, and 1. So there's a lot of battery operated freaking toys in those toy boxes.
I'll remember that next
And they
birthday.
all have to be turned off. And if I know they don't turn off, batteries have to come out.
Mm.
Because if I hear one, I am running through my picture window and we are going.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I can see her Herman Munstering it through the door.
for sure. Like, and every man for themselves at that point. I'm not grabbing a child. You best believe I'm
Oh, yeah.
going. Learn how to walk. You can run with me. We're gone.
I think it depends on the spirit because, like, when I have like visits from Destiny Grace, it's like I don't feel like I'm ever in danger, so it's like a very comforting thing.
Yeah.
So, like, even
See,
like
if it's
when,
more comforting,
like,
then
even
that's
like
different.
when I wake up and she's behind me talking.
Yeah.
First of all, rude. But
Give me a
it's
minute.
not like I feel like, okay, I have to stay awake now. It's like, okay, there's somebody protecting me.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like you have a bodyguard in the room.
Yeah.
That's how it feels when, like, Grandpa Wilson's in my dreams.
Yeah.
Because he's in them all the time.
Mhm.
It's a comforting feeling.
Yeah.
But when you have
That ugly feeling
the
that my house
ugly,
has
evil
lurking throughout it.
feeling, those are the ones where it's like,
Well, you mean like the one that made me stop writing the book, The Shadow Man? Because remember upstairs around my breakfast bar, I had all the pictures of like my works, you know, like each of my book covers. And I had the picture that I was going to have for the Shadow Man up there. And it's just a image of a man, a shadow of a man. And he's holding a candle
With a hat on.
with a hat on. And so I was sitting in the living room in the recliner. Dad was, my husband was in bed sleeping. I stay up until all hours of the night. And I was working on the book, and all of a sudden the picture, and I mean, I had it nailed onto the wall. I had it nailed onto the wall, and there was thumbtack behind it holding it in place. This picture ripped out of the wall by itself and shot across the room 3 feet and spun in a circle and landed on the floor, taking part of the wall with it. So that's when I decided I'm just kind of going to put it on hold for a while,
Yeah.
until I do a little more research and
Yeah.
see what comes to me. Yeah, I've got all my ghost hunting equipment on as we're talking, and the Ovilus is talking away here. The flashlights are turning on by themselves, and the EMF meter is going crazy over here. So that's what I was trying to tell you. When we talk about them, it stirs it up. I don't
And-
know if they like the attention or.
Well, and it doesn't just stir it up here, because there's sometimes where, we'll sit down, we're talking, whatever, and I'll go home. I don't even want to walk in my house. Because I know as soon as I walk in, like, they're there. They're there to greet me.
I mean,
Mine know better. It's a mess with me.
Well, I was kidding around with Haley, my other daughter, when she was leaving the other day. And I told the spirits kiddingly, I said, oh, I want to round up a group of you and send you home with Haley so she can show her boyfriend that you guys are real. Well, sure as shit, that night things started stirring up in their basement while he was down there working on his train sets.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so.
Well, there's sometimes where I'll call Mason. I'm like, what are you doing? You gonna spend the night? You're going over.
Mhm.
Just because if I die, there's going to be a witness, because it's getting
I mean, there's not one spirit in your house that doesn't mean harm.
Yeah.
Your house just screams angry.
Yeah,
I have
well, somebody committed suicide upstairs in
Yeah.
her bathroom.
Well, explain the hallway then.
That's it. I think that's him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because me and Mia, she had me sleeping on her floor.
Yep. You're like our bodyguard.
Yeah, I'm just the sacrifice.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm the disposable one.
Like the chunk of meat we bring into the lion's cage before we go to pet it.
But then the door was open and I was on an air mattress on the floor next to the bed.
Mhm.
And down the hallway, like the hallway light was on. Thank God. But then I could see that somebody kept peeking around the corner, and you can just feel the energy. It
Was that
it
the
was a
night that
man.
the crosses came off the wall?
No, I wasn't there for
No,
that.
that was a
That's-
couple nights before that.
That's
and
why she had me sleeping on her
Mason,
floor.
yeah,
Ah.
had to sleep on
But
it.
then Mia was on the bed, and I actually had her headphones in, and I was like, great, she's sleeping. There's a demon in the hallway, so I pretend to be sleeping. But then he's just popping around the corner, just looking for someone. But turns out me and Mia were both pretending to be sleeping, and both just sitting there, scared to death.
I have offered numerous times to come to your house with all my equipment and get a reading and find out what's going
We
on.
did that when I
Same
first
with,
moved in, but it just angers them
Haley.
even more. It gives them more power when
You
do
have
that.
to take control. They know this
Mom,
is my
then
house.
You can move in. I mean, I'm willing to give you my house. Go. Go ham.
I got tapped on the shoulder once when I was trying to sleep.
Never again.
Never again, I'll say that.
Oh, the Ovilus said it was Alice.
Mm.
So, what about you, Marie? Do you have things going on at your house?
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, you got Alexa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's reminding Wayne to take his high blood pressure medication. That's not one of my spirits.
See,
I
my
wonder why
house-
we need high blood pressure medication.
Right?
At my house, it's not like how you guys have it.
Got some?
Mine, I think I don't see as much probably because, like I said, I do tend to block.
Mm-hmm.
Just daily life, I don't have time for it at all.
It interferes with my writing a lot.
Yeah. But I will say our basement gives me the creeps. I do always feel like someone's watching me. It could be anyone's basement, actually. It feels like someone's watching me at all times.
Yeah.
I go in the bathroom, the lights blink in our bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, sitting and doing work in the kitchen, and the lights is just flickering away.
They're
And those
trying
are
to get your
brand new
attention.
bulbs.
They're very good at manipulating electronics. I don't know if you remember when Haley was like 3 months old, and Mom probably told you about it. That's the first time I had the discussion with Mom as an adult about ghosts and spirits and all that other stuff, because I was sitting there on my bed taking a break because I was cleaning. She was in her crib in my room. All of a sudden, the door just slammed shut and the music on the stereo, it was off. It turned on and started getting louder, 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 louder. And every hair on my body stood straight out. I was like a porcupine, you know? And I'm like, oh my God. The first thing I thought to do was to grab Haley out of her crib and hold her and open that door, because whatever you did, I have to undo, you know? And I sat down on the bed and I'm freaking out. And it was in December, so all the windows were closed. So it wasn't the wind blowing the door or anything like that. And the first thing I thought to do was call Mom. So I called Mom and I'm like, hi, Mom, how you doing? She's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm going to ask you something, and I don't want you to think I'm crazy. Do you believe in ghosts? She goes, oh, hell yeah. And this is after a whole childhood of her telling me that the people that I saw coming out of my closet and walking around my room, it was a dream, she said.
Figment of your imagination.
Yeah. So I confronted her. I was like, why the hell did you tell me that it was just a dream? She goes, what did you want me to tell you? That there were demons and monsters and they were going to eat you and take your soul?
So we grew up.
Yeah,
You're gonna be right back. I'm calling Yaya. Make them comfort.
I mean, Mom wanted to keep it real with us. Like,
Yeah.
there's scary stuff in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have to be firm in your faith.
Well, I never really talked about ghosts and stuff when you were little. You would come to me and you'd say, like when you were little and you told me that man's name, that you, in your last life, your name was this name, and that you were a teacher, but that's because you were born during the Columbine shootings. And you described everything to me in detail, and then I looked it up, and you were the teacher that saved all those kids in your past life.
I would have threw me away. Goodbye, child.
Goodbye, child.
And
Try again later.
I would
Good luck
I would
next time.
listen to what you said, and I would try to make sense out of it. And I was like, there are spirits, you know, and they're not going to hurt you.
And the first time I came to you with the Destiny of Grace dream, I didn't even know who she was.
Yeah, because I didn't talk about her.
I mean, I was like 4 the first time I had the dream.
And you
Just
couldn't
started
figure out
talking.
why she looked like your other sister, Destiny.
You have to go check her for a pulse real quick. Oh, God.
But have we gotten any comments or?
Jesse's organizing her bathroom.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
she
So
had to go.
She was saying how she sees Brian, her father,
And
And
Billy.
Billy.
and Billy in her dreams.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like Mom, she's never seen Grandma Rose in her dreams, and that's her own mother.
I mean, but then there's also people that don't remember their dreams. And
Yeah.
Yaya doesn't really
Or they
remember-
block them.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, same difference.
Mhm.
But, I mean, I don't picture Yaya as somebody who is open to it.
She was when she was younger.
When she was younger.
When
But
she
then Grandma
married
Rose was
Marie's
alive still.
dad, when she married Marie's dad, things changed a lot.
Yeah. But then, but I mean, Grandma Rose was alive then. So, I mean, she couldn't
Yeah.
visit her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have loved Grandma Rose. She did a Sunday dinner, let me tell you.
I could eat.
Yeah.
Right.
Her table was longer than that pool table over here. And it was filled from end to end with 3 different kinds of meats, with different kinds of potatoes. And I'm not talking sandwiches, you know, like we have like a banquet style, you know, dinner here. This was a big sit down dinner. It was bigger than Christmas, you know. What's the matter?
I'm
We're
cold.
hungry. Oh.
Everybody's moving.
Oh.
Everything she made was homemade. I mean, she would have 4 different kinds of pies.
I mean, it sounds great if I had like my veggie divider plate. Because none of my food can touch each other, but I want everything.
But this was every Sunday. I don't know how the woman did it. I bust my ass on a daily trying to be more like Grandma Rose, but I know I'll never hold a candle to her, you know. She was a very hard worker. She ran a farm during the Depression. She held a factory job open for one of the guys that went off to fight the war. They made ammunition in the factory that she worked at. She was building bombs. So she was fun at the 4th of July.
That's where I get it from.
Yeah.
You're just a pyro.
When she had nothing, I mean, they were feeding their kids. Oh, she was feeding her kids cornmeal mush, homemade bread with lard instead of butter, and just pepper on top of it. And then she would barter with other neighbors, other farmers around her. You know, I've got some pork, give me some beef. I've got lard, give me some butter, you know. And that's how it was. And that's why when that whole pandemic stuff started happening, that's why I went into pioneer mode and I started buying all the staples and stockpiling split peas and beans and lentils and everything that I could think of, and rice and yeast, because I was going to bake me some bread, you know.
Now I have a question on the paranormal end.
Okay, let's get back
Since
to
you were around with Grandma Rose,
that. Mm-hmm.
did you ever tell her about any of the stuff that was going on with you when you were little?
Yeah, she said, in my day, we didn't talk about that, or they locked you up in, you know, the insane asylums. So she says, that's why I don't talk about it very often. But yes, I have had lots of paranormal experiences.
Wow.
Well, we come from a long line. We
Okay.
come from a long line of clairvoyance.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
to make it through during the Great Depression, they had to sell fortunes and they had to read palms and they had to do tarot cards and things like that.
Probably why my obsession with tarot cards came in too.
Well, that's why when you had that one psychic come over, just because I wanted to see what she'd say, because I was always taught that you can't read a reader.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to see what she said. So when I sat down with her at the table, at Yaya's table for a one-on-one, she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm sitting here waiting for a reading."
Yeah.
And she says, "You already know." And she also told me that I have some ancestors that were notorious. I mean, they were world renowned, tarot readers, and that they're proud of and amazed at my tarot reading abilities. But the thing is, I moved away from that because I've been shamed so many times by all the Catholics, and they're, oh, that's the devil's handiwork.
I don't care what people think.
Right?
Talk your garbage. You know what? I'm living my best life. I can only answer for me.
And you got so many people that are skeptical that are like, oh, really? What are the lottery numbers for tonight? I'm like, bitch.
Sometime 911. I mean, you just got to be a little quick-witted. Come up with
That
it.
type
Yeah.
of stuff is not for me.
Yeah, and I didn't want to.
And we don't get lottery ticket numbers.
No.
Because if we
Yeah.
did, do you think we would share it with you? No, I would be living in my mansion
Right.
off on a freaking island all by myself, and you wouldn't be sitting there talking with me.
your island.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see, what else were we going to talk about tonight? We covered that. What about demonic possession? What are your thoughts on demonic
No, thank
possession?
you. Oh.
10 out of 10 would not recommend.
Tried it once, not my thing.
Do you believe that people with a weaker mindset are easily possessed?
For sure.
Or do you think it's something like a challenge from the devil, like somebody that is religious, somebody that was raised, you know, in a strict religious house, and all of a sudden, you know, little Becky Barnwood over here, she's starting to act different, and you know, she's spitting up green pea soup, and you know, I mean, don't you think that it might be like the devil going, God thinks he's got you, but
I mean,
nope.
I think he loves the challenge and the thrill of the chase. But if you just like if you threw a piece of raw hamburger at a lion, he's going to eat it. He's not going to say, oh no, I need to run after it. He's going to say, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's just like the devil. Like if you're an open vessel and you're just like, whatever, of course he's going to take that while he's still chasing little Becky.
And that's what some of the Christian people are, that are firm in their beliefs are telling me, that by me, talking to spirit, that I don't know who I'm talking to, and that they're going to end up, the devil's going to end up taking me over.
Sounds like a me problem. I mean,
Right.
mind you.
Well, they
do
feel
you,
that they're
boo?
doing God's work. God tells them to tell me that I'm doing wrong.
God
But-
also says, do not judge people, do not pass judgment, do not do this, do not do that. But drive past a Catholic church Sunday morning after Mass lets out,
Oh,
and they're flipping the birds, they're running each other off the road, calling each other everything but human.
yeah.
I mean, you can't live on both ends of the sword here and tell me what I'm doing what is wrong. No sin is greater than the other sin. So don't cast onto me.
And I
when
don't
you don't want it
believe
back
that
on you.
God would allow me to hear the things that I hear and see the things that I see. Like, I'll be sitting in the kitchen, okay? Let's just do this as an example. The other day, I was in the kitchen doing my dishes, and I sit on a stool because I've had 8 kids. I have degenerative disc disease. I have bursitis in both hips. My knees are shot. I'm 59 years old. I'm not 20 anymore. So I'm sitting on a stool, and I'm doing my dishes, and I hear somebody say, hey. And I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, I thought it was Wayne, but he's in the other room watching TV. So I go back to doing my dishes. I'm like, okay, we're going to have one of those nights. All of a sudden, have you ever had somebody like rush up on you like
Mhm.
they
Oh,
were
yeah.
coming to attack you from behind?
Mhm.
I had that full throttle. And I turned around and I stopped them dead in their tracks, but it felt like they went right through me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is going on over there? Oh, you broke your foot? Okay.
Nothing. No.
But yeah, we have all kinds of good fun times here.
Yeah, and it's like getting back on that. God knows what's in my heart, and I know like we're not going to sit here and preach and whatever. God knows my intentions.
Mhm.
I have nothing to hide. I'm not doing anything bad,
Like I've said,
and I'm not using my powers for evil. Like I'm not trying to take over the
And who are
world.
you that I have to explain myself and my beliefs to you?
Exactly.
I have
You
to
don't- you
answer to
don't-
him in the end. I'm not going to spend my whole life answering
well,
to
that's
you.
what I've always raised you kids with that theory that God's not going to ask you about my sins. So mind your
And
business.
I'm gonna have. I'm getting myself in heaven. I don't need anybody on my piggyback. Like
Oh, I'm
no.
having a hard enough time getting my ass into
I'm
heaven,
not
much
gonna.
less
I'm
worried
not
about
gonna.
yours.
I'm not going to vouch for you. So don't sit here and try to play battle of wits with me and be like, oh, well, this person talked me out of this. So, no. God knows what's in my heart because he put it there.
And I believe that you're judged on what's in your heart, not like there's so many people that will go out and they'll hand out money to homeless people, okay? And they've got to make it a thing, videotape it. And, I feel it's dehumanizing the homeless person.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to do it with the intent of recognition. I give money to homeless people every time I pass them, but I'm not going to post their picture on Facebook and be like, look at this poor urchin,
Well, and it's one thing to give them money, but it's another thing to be like sitting in that one restaurant. It's like, oh, I'm going to take this bag of chicken and throw it at a homeless man and see what they do.
Right.
Da, da, da,
I'm
da.
going to throw a 10-piece at his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God knows what's in my heart. He put it there.
Yeah.
God has purpose for me, and
I
you
believe-
don't like it? Walk away. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like
You're
Facebook.
not
Scroll
gonna-
on.
You're not going to affect me one way or the other ask my neighbors. Leave. Bye, Felicia.
There's a lot of stuff going on around here right now.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
What?
Just
Stuff's
waste your
moving.
time
There's things
and-
scratching
Yeah.
over
There
there.
was
I know,
scratching back
That's
there.
because we're talking about it.
Isn't
so-
that light
Motion
sensor?
Yeah.
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 Okay, well, nobody really Nothing's open.
Nothing over there. It's a hallway.
That was my movie idea.
Well, that's why I wanted to do the split screen on my podcast so that they can see some of the stuff, on the ghost hunting equipment. And I call it that. It's scientific stuff, it's not just this bullshit, oh, ghost hunting is bullshit thing, We've had so many intelligent conversations with the spirit world. Yeah, I'm just throwing papers around. Screw it. Anybody else want to add anything to?
I mean, we could sit here
Demonic-
for hours talking about stuff.
demonic possession
Yeah.
stuff. Now, depending upon someone's beliefs, now would I be an easier candidate for demonic possession because I have?
Are you applying for the job or?
Well, yes, I am.
Do I need to cut ties with you? I'm just asking.
Okay,
It depends on the type of demonic possession.
Let her
Oh.
finish.
Because of how non-religious I am, my views on religion.
I think, and this is my opinion, I love you very much. You are my sister, okay? Sister from another mister.
You're a demon magnet.
Yeah.
But, okay, look at how you are, and I'm not saying this with any disrespect, with like if you were walking down the street and somebody approached you and wanted to fight you, okay? You're going to get in your truck and you're going to drive as fast as
Hell yeah.
those 10
I'm not-
years can get
I
you.
don't do confrontation. That's why.
Yeah, and that would make you a very easy target. But I am a challenge because I stand toe to toe with anybody and anything.
I think it depends on her opponent.
It depends on the opponent. and
No,
depends on the
12-year-old little
day.
girls. No.
Okay. All right, let me ask
Yeah,
you
it depends
this.
on the day and the mood I'm in and the opponent.
And what they're
If it's a
fighting
big,
over.
Burly guy, yeah. I'm like,
Let me ask you this. If you saw a demon walk down those stairs right now,
I'm melted.
you would probably use Mason and Destiny as a shield, and you'd book it out my patio door.
no, I might actually like just die, like stop breathing.
My first instinct.
But it depends because like the things I see at home,
Mhm.
I'm more like, what the hell was that? Like, come back.
Mhm.
Okay, but
Like,
he's
I wanna
coming
see-
at you. He's approaching you.
Then you stop and be like, what's up? Like, what's going on?
No, you say go away.
Everybody
No,
can talk
my
big and
first
bad,
instinct-
See, I think that's where I'm more. I think I would be like a little scared, afraid, but then the other half of me is like, I'm curious. I'm so.
But that's like
You get that from me.
But that's like Mason and I, like we've talked about this. Like we claim to be the screaming ghosts. Like we're like, yeah, let's do it. But we knew if something like went down, we're faking ghosts.
no, you're the fainter. I run.
Yeah. But you wouldn't drag me.
No, it's called Lone Survivor for a reason. There was one smart person and one dumb one.
You just gotta run
I'm the
One
dumb
ran
one because
fast.
I would grab the Bible, I would grab my crucifix, and I would command it out.
She says that, but we also slept on the couch when the picture flew off the wall.
Hold out. The way I feel is
Well,
not
that was
an
effed
invite.
up.
I have to say that it's not an invite for others to follow me.
You can take a couple.
Go ahead.
But
Yeah, we got it.
We'll talk to you next
that's
week.
why I'm so curious to go to your house because I want to see.
And you can take him
I want to feel. Like I want to.
Oh, he'll let you feel.
You can babysit my nun
So
for a
why
week.
don't we have a sleepover here?
Oh,
And
Outside.
alcohol?
Outside.
outside? No.
That'll open your senses.
Yeah.
It opens up your invitation to them damn stink bugs.
Oh,
Not having it. Having June bugs bounce off my head and shit? No, thank you. I don't do
Those
outdoors.
are the little cockroaches.
We don't say the C word.
Right?
Get
Go.
out.
No, thank you. No, we should. We should have you. You can bring Trini, spend a night, and we can all camp out down here in this big family room.
I'm sleeping in my room. Bye.
That'll be
and
fun.
we can see what happens.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to, especially since that light's driving me nuts.
Dallas
Okay.
gets so spooked by it. Middle of the night, he's like, "Who's out there?" I don't know.
Go check.
Yeah. I don't look at it.
Your little 7-year-old self out there go look.
Yeah.
My movie idea / theory is that we're dead, living in someone else's house.
Are you really telling the podcast this?
That's okay. And they're setting off the lights.
Yes, I have.
And we're like, why is
that?
that light going off?
Oh yeah,
Don't send me into a panic
Mhm.
attack.
I've actually thought that before.
Yep.
Where you are actually a spirit in someone else's house.
Sometimes I think that because I
Well,
can't
I
go
thought
listen,
that-
like, I guess that they're screaming and they're just like. "Doo, doo, doo." Who's that?
Especially after we got hit by the dump truck. I mean, even Mason and Dante were at Children's Hospital. I was next door at Freighter. They were asking the nurse if they were dead. I was asking the paramedic.
My
if I
world
was
just
dead.
got rocked. I saw blue lightning and that was it.
But, it's
See
very,
much with the glasses like that either.
yeah, I know. That's another one of the books that I'm going to be
Wonder where my bad heart came from.
writing.
Oh, a heart attack happened.
But we should let these people go.
I mean, they can go.
It's already been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
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 Anybody want to add anything before we get going?
I mean, we could sit here and literally talk for days.
Yeah.
Days on
Days on days on days.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
what
I might
should
have to take a
next-
potty break, but
Next week's podcast be about with Supernatural Sunday?
Mia brought up a topic. I don't remember if it was for Let's Talk or Let's Chat or for Supernatural Day.
Sunday.
S-Day.
Yeah, I'd have to ask Mia if she's still listening. Type it.
Yeah, she is.
She brought up an idea today. We were talking about something, and she's like, "Oh, that'd be a good idea, a good topic for Granny's podcast."
One thing
She's my
Desi,
kid. I don't listen to everything
one
she
thing
says.
Desi brought up to talk about was astral traveling.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, I was going to
Because
mention
when
that.
you guys were talking about the same house, I was like, maybe that was astral traveling. Because you guys were
Like
all in
us
the same
all
house,
having a dream
all
at the
had
same house
Mhm.
dream.
is we astral travel there.
Yeah.
Well, we know that my two older sons, they do that a lot. They
Yeah.
astral travel.
I wonder if
And then we could tell the story about William Sears.
if there's a way you can plan it, like, okay, let's meet at this house tonight. And if we all would
You,
have
that's
you
what
can,
we
but
tried
that
to do.
opens you to like a whole.
and I don't want to sell myself to nothing.
No, we tried to do that. Tony was down here and we sat down on the couch and we all closed our eyes. And
Mia doesn't remember either.
I said, all right, so let's just close our eyes right now. Picture yourself walking up the stairs.
See, I can do that, like, no problem.
Mhm.
But that's when you run into conflict because Tony got trapped and couldn't come back down.
I mean, I think it depends on how
Depends on the
strong your
person.
will is and your mind. And
I don't
We'll
know-
do some research on it.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it would be a supernatural thing, but I'd like to. It would be fun to discuss dream analysis.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that too.
Ooh, I love that.
I mean, eventually we're gonna run out of topics, so we,
No,
we
we
gotta
won't.
have
No,
filler
look at
topics.
the clock.
I've had
Like,
many
we-
years of this.
Yeah.
I have many years of talking.
Oh, we know.
I know.
But if anybody listening would like to send in your stories about any of the things that we've talked about or any of the things that we've mentioned talking about next week, feel free to email me or you can message me on Facebook. My name is Nikki Luciano, and my son Mason is going to be dropping links in the comments after the show, and feel free to send in your ideas and your stories. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video, and please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You don't get unwanted advertisement or anything like that. It doesn't cost a penny. This is Nikki Luciano and crew signing off. Good night, people.